I'm not gonna make it, Pops. They're coming for me tonight. Those were the bone-chilling words reportedly screamed into a prison phone just hours ago. A recording that has sent the entire music industry into a state of absolute paralysis. We have seen King Harris play the tough guy. We have seen him scream at Waffle House employees and challenge his own father, the legendary T.I., in front of thousands of fans. But the voice on this leaked tape? It isn't the kid scion persona we know. It is the sound of a 21-year-old young man who has finally realized that his family's millions cannot stop a prison blade. Tonight, the gated communities and luxury SUVs are gone. King Harris is trapped in a facility where his last name isn't a shield, it's a target. We have obtained exclusive details of a late-night frantic call that has T.I. and Tiny in a state of total emotional collapse. But was this an actual assassination plot, or the ultimate betrayal from a son desperate for attention? The clock is ticking, the streets are watching, and T.I. is facing a choice that could end in blood. Stay tuned, because what happens in the next few minutes will change everything you thought you knew about the Harris family. To truly grasp the gravity of the terror in King Harris's voice, you have to understand the toxic powder keg that has been simmering inside the Harris household for over a decade. This isn't just a story about a spoiled celebrity kid getting into trouble. This is a generational tragedy playing out in the cold light of day. At the center of it all is Clifford T.I. Harris, the self-proclaimed king of the South. T.I. is a man who built a multi-million-dollar empire from the blood-soaked soil of Bankhead, Atlanta. He is a man who survived federal prison, stared down life-ending gun charges, and buried his closest friends, all with one singular goal: to ensure his children would never have to breathe the stale air of a prison cell. T.I. gave his children everything the streets denied him: safety, elite education, gated mansions, and a legacy of power. But as the old saying goes, the forbidden fruit is always the sweetest. While T.I. was busy trying to sanitize the Harris name for the corporate world, his eldest son, King Harris, was busy falling in love with the ghost of his father's past. King didn't want the silver spoon. He wanted the lead pipe. He didn't want the penthouse. He wanted the bando. For the last 3 years, the world has watched in morbid fascination as King Harris desperately tried to shed his rich kid image. It started with the small things, the social media posturing, the aggressive rap lyrics. But it quickly spiraled into a public relations nightmare that even the best fixers in Hollywood couldn't handle. We all remember the infamous 2022 Waffle House incident. King, then just a teenager, stood inside a restaurant berating minimum wage workers, flashing stacks of cash, and threatening to pistol whip a short-order cook over a side of pickles. It was a moment of profound entitlement masked as street toughness, and it set the internet on fire. The backlash was swift, but instead of a wake-up call, it was fuel. King leaned further into the chaos. He began publicly challenging his father's street credibility, a move that many insiders called career suicide. The tension reached a violent boiling point in November 2023 at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. In a luxury suite, surrounded by the elite of Atlanta, King got into a physical altercation with T.I. and Tiny. As the cameras rolled for Instagram Live, King screamed that he didn't grow up with a silver spoon, and that his parents were cap. T.I., visibly exhausted and heartbroken, eventually had to put his own son in a headlock to stop the public embarrassment. He told him then, in words that now seem like a dark prophecy, "You are embarrassing yourself and your family. Boy, you can't do nothing with me." But the drama didn't stay within the family. King's recent decision to insert himself into T.I.'s long-running feud with 50 Cent was the final straw. By disrespecting 50 Cent's deceased mother on social media, King didn't just cross a line, he erased it. He invited a level of heat that no amount of security guards can protect you from. Sources close to the Grand Hustle Camp claim that behind closed doors, T.I. was reaching his limit. The tough love phase had officially begun. T.I. reportedly told his inner circle that if King wanted to play street games, he would eventually have to face street consequences. And those consequences arrived with a vengeance. King's recent arrest wasn't just another traffic stop or a failure to appear. It felt calculated. It felt like the universe, or perhaps someone with a long memory, finally decided to collect the debt King had been racking up. The moment those heavy iron doors slammed shut at the DeKalb County Jail, the gated communities and the private security details vanished. King was no longer the prince of a rap empire. He was just an inmate with a famous last name in a facility filled with men who have nothing to lose. History tells us that in the Georgia prison system, a famous last name is often a liability, not an asset. There are men in those cell blocks who have been waiting 20 years for a chance to get back at T.I., and now his flesh and blood is sitting right in their midst. The background of this conflict is soaked in irony and betrayal. T.I. spent his life trying to get his family out of the streets, only to watch his son use that very wealth to buy a one-way ticket back in. This was never just about a jail cell. This is about a father watching his greatest achievement crumble. And as we move into the details of the leaked call, you'll see that the bando King Harris so desperately wanted has finally revealed its true, ugly face. The atmosphere in Atlanta shifted the second the news broke. King Harris had been denied bond. In the legal world, for someone with the financial backing of the Harris family, a failure to appear or a minor probation violation is usually a turn-in and walk-out procedure. You pay the fee, you sign the papers, and you're back in a Maybach by lunchtime. But not this time. The judge, reportedly citing a pattern of reckless disregard for the law and new evidence, ordered King to remain in custody until a formal hearing. The nightmare didn't start in the courtroom, though. It started at 2:14 a.m. in a high-security wing of the DeKalb County Jail. According to a high-level source within the facility, a recording was captured via a jailhouse communication tablet, a leaked audio clip that has now been verified by 3 independent industry insiders. In this recording, the background noise is a chaotic symphony of banging metal doors and distant, echoing shouts. But in the foreground, you hear the frantic, shallow breathing of a young man who has realized he is no longer the predator. "Pops, you gotta listen to me." King's voice is a jagged whisper, trembling with a fear we have never heard from him. They know. They know everything. There's a group in here, they're saying. "I'm not making it to the morning shift. One of them told me he was in Bankhead with you in '04. He says you owe a debt that was never settled, and since you're out there, I'm the one paying it in here. Pops, please get the lawyers. Tell them I'll do anything. I'll stay in the house. I'll quit the music. Just don't leave me here. They're watching my cell. Dad." For the first time in his life, the kid scion was dead. The kid who bragged about standing on business was nowhere to be found. This was a 21-year-old boy, stripped of his jewelry, his designer clothes, and his ego, realizing that in a cage, $1 million is just paper if no one is coming to open the door. But here is where the story takes its first, heart-wrenching twist, one that has the internet calling for T.I.'s head. As the audio leaked and the world waited for the inevitable news of a high-powered legal rescue, something went wrong. Reports began to surface from the grand hustle inner circle that T.I. was not answering the phone. Imagine being the most powerful man in Atlanta rap, having every resource at your fingertips, and choosing to let the call go to voicemail while your son is claiming his life is on the line. A leaked screenshot of a text message, allegedly sent from T.I. to a family associate, sent shockwaves through social media. The message read, "He wanted the bando. He said the gates were for cowards. Let him see what the concrete feels like tonight. No lawyers until the sun is up. He needs to learn that the streets don't have a VIP section." The betrayal was total. The internet exploded into a civil war. How could a father, especially one who knows the dangers of the system as well as T.I. does, leave his flesh and blood in a den of lions just to prove a point? Was this tough love? Or was T.I. so fed up with the years of disrespect and the 50-cent drama that he was willing to gamble with his son's life? But the situation moved from emotional betrayal to physical horror within the hour. Just as the tough love rumor was peaking, a grainy, 10-second video clip was uploaded to an anonymous street news account. The footage looks like it was filmed on a smuggled cell phone from a second-floor balcony inside the jail. In the dim, flickering light of the common area, you see a young man who looks exactly like King Harris being cornered by 3 massive inmates. There is no dialogue in the video, just the sound of heavy boots on concrete and a terrifying, sudden silence. You see King back away, his hands up in a defensive posture, the same hands he used to mock minimum wage workers, now shaking as he is pressed against a cold brick wall. The video cuts to black just as one of the inmates reaches for his waistband. Within minutes, the King Harris is dead rumors began to trend. The panic was real. Tiny Harris was reportedly spotted at the jail's intake entrance at 3:45 a.m., hysterical, screaming at the guards to let her in, claiming she had the bond money in cash. But because T.I., the primary head of the household and legal guardian of the estate's affairs, had reportedly locked the family's high-level legal funds, the guards couldn't move. And then, the twist that no one saw coming. Just as the sun began to peek over the Atlanta skyline, a white medical transport van was seen leaving the DeKalb County Jail with its lights and sirens off, a protocol usually reserved for when a situation is already final. At the exact same time, a cryptic post appeared on T.I.'s Instagram. It wasn't a prayer. It wasn't a statement. It was a black square with a single caption. Too late. The internet stopped breathing. Did King Harris just pay the ultimate price for a persona he couldn't back up? Or is T.I. playing the most dangerous game of psychological warfare ever seen in the music industry? The cliffhanger? A source from the hospital intake desk just leaked a name on the critical arrivals list. The name isn't Clifford Harris III. It's a name that links back to a secret T.I. has been hiding for 20 years. While the world was still reeling from the medical van leaving the jail and T.I.'s cryptic, "Too late" post, the digital landscape of Atlanta erupted into a battlefield of misinformation and terrifying clarity. By 6 a.m., the hashtag #SaveKing had been overtaken by a much darker trend, #the Harris setup. The escalation was no longer about a rebellious son in a jail cell. It was about a high-level orchestration that seemed to involve the highest echelons of the rap industry and the legal system. The second massive reveal dropped when a prominent underground news outlet leaked a series of encrypted messages allegedly pulled from a burner phone used by a high-ranking gang leader inside the facility. The messages were chilling. The prince is in the trap. The king is silent. We don't want the money. We want the paperwork. This confirmed the public's worst fear. This wasn't a random jailhouse scuffle. This was a targeted hit. King Harris wasn't just another inmate. He was being held as a human ransom to force T.I. to reveal information about a decades-old racketeering case that has haunted the Atlanta rap scene for years. But the real shocker, the one that made the tough love theory look like a fairy tale, came from a leaked internal memo from the district attorney's office. The memo suggested that the warrant King was picked up on had been reactivated at the request of an anonymous informant. Social media detectives went into overdrive, and the finger-pointing turned toward T.I.'s biggest rivals. Was 50 Cent's Checkmate post more than just a troll? Was it a confession? The internet began to speculate that the entire legal trap was set by industry enemies who knew exactly how to push T.I. to his breaking point. As the morning progressed, the shocking reveal shifted from the streets to the Harris family's own bloodline. A leaked video surfaced from a security camera inside the Harris mansion, showing a heated, physical confrontation between T.I. and his other sons, Domani and Messiah, just hours after King's arrest. In the footage, T.I. is seen shouting, "I warned him. I told him the streets don't have a VIP section, and now the VIP section is the only thing that can save him, and I can't get him in." This revealed the most devastating twist yet. T.I. didn't ignore the phone call because he was teaching King a lesson. He ignored it because his legal assets had been frozen by the feds. The tough love text message was a decoy, a desperate attempt by T.I. to look like he was in control when in reality, his empire was under a total federal blockade. King was in that jail, claiming his life was in danger, and for the first time in his life, the King of the South was truly, utterly powerless. He couldn't send the lawyers. He couldn't pay the bond. He was forced to watch his son drown from the shore. The escalation hit its peak when a photo was leaked of King Harris in the infirmary. The image was grainy and taken from a distance, but the details were unmistakable. King was sitting on a gurney, his face bruised, his signature Playboy neck tattoo, partially covered by a bandage. But he wasn't crying. He was staring at the camera with a look of cold, calculated betrayal. Underneath the photo, the anonymous leaker added a caption that changed the narrative for good. He knows who sent him there. And it wasn't the ops. The implication was clear. King now believed his own father had set him up. The identity crisis had turned into a family war. King's fan accounts began posting that the "Tell Mom Goodbye" message wasn't a suicide note. It was a declaration of independence. King was reportedly telling Tiny that he was officially done with the Harris name. He was ready to walk away from the gated communities and the grand hustle legacy to join the very people who had just attacked him. But just as the public began to process the idea of King turning on T.I., a final, urgent update flashed across the screen. A prominent Atlanta attorney, who has never worked for the Harris family, posted a single tweet. "Just left the jail. King Harris isn't in the infirmary anymore. And he's not in his cell. If anyone knows where the transport van went, call me immediately." The cliffhanger? The medical van that left the jail wasn't headed to the hospital, and it wasn't headed to a federal facility. It was spotted entering a private airstrip on the outskirts of Atlanta. The king's son hadn't been rescued, and he hadn't been released. He had been disappeared. The reveal left everyone asking the same question. Who has the power to take a celebrity's son out of a county jail in the middle of the night without a trace? The answer was something far more dangerous than any gang or any rapper. The clock had run out, and the game had just become a war. The digital ecosystem of the hip-hop world didn't just react to the news of King Harris's alleged jailhouse terror. It physically fractured under the weight of it. Within 6 hours of the Save Me, Pop's audio leaking, the internet was no longer a place of debate. It was a crime scene of conflicting narratives. The first group to weigh in, with brutal efficiency, was the accountability camp. On platforms like X and Reddit, the sentiment was cold and unyielding. One viral thread, racking up over 100,000 likes in a single morning, read, "King Harris spent 3 years begging for the streets. He mocked every gated community his father built. Now the streets are answering back, and he's crying on a jailhouse phone? This isn't a tragedy, it's a receipt. Let him stand on the business he claimed he owned." But the industry's heavy hitters didn't stay silent for long. The legendary 50 Cent, who has been in a simmering digital war with the Harris family, dropped a cryptic post that many viewed as the ultimate industry checkmate. He didn't mock King directly this time. Instead, he posted a high-definition image of a chessboard with the king piece knocked over. The caption was a single word: check. The implication was clear to everyone. The beef had moved from Instagram captions to real-life consequences. Industry insiders suggest that 50's post was a subtle nod to the rumors that the gang hit inside the jail was orchestrated by people who were tired of King's constant disrespect of hip-hop's older generation. Meanwhile, the division inside the rap community became a chasm. Boozy Badass, a longtime associate of T.I., went on an explosive Instagram live that garnered 500,000 viewers. With veins popping in his neck, Boozy screamed at the screen, "Y'all crazy. That's a child. I don't care what he said about pickles or who he screamed at. If Tip's blood is on the floor, the whole of Atlanta is gonna burn. Why is the king of the South being blocked from saving his own seed?" Boozy's intervention turned the tide for many, shifting the blame from King's behavior to the Gwinnett and DeKalb County authorities, who were now being accused of using King as a federal pawn to squeeze T.I. for information. The fans, however, were even more divided. On TikTok, thousands of creators began analyzing the leaked audio, with some claiming the frequency of the voice didn't match King's usual tone, suggesting a deepfake setup to ruin the Harris legacy. But the division turned into panic when Tiny Harris allegedly liked, and then quickly unliked, a comment that said, "T.I. is letting him sit there to break him. It's not the feds, it's his own father." This single like sent the gossip mills into a frenzy. Was the industry witnessing a public execution of a son's ego by his own father? Mainstream news outlets like TMZ and CNN began hovering around the jail with helicopters, but they were met with a total blackout. No official statement from the Gwinnett County Sheriff. No word from Grand Hustle. The silence from T.I. was interpreted by the public as either the ultimate tough love or a sign that the federal government had placed a gag order on the entire family. As the sun began to set on day 3, a new and terrifying trend emerged. #TheLastKing. Rumors began to circulate that rival gangs were placing bounties on any footage of King inside the jail. The drama had evolved from a family dispute into a high-stakes scavenger hunt. The industry was no longer just watching, it was betting on King Harris's survival. The section ended on a chilling note when Offset, who has had his own brushes with the law, tweeted 3 simple words that felt like a funeral bell for the Harris family's peace: "Streets don't reload." The division is absolute. Half the world is praying for a rescue, and the other half is waiting for the crash. But one thing is certain, the Harris name will never carry the same weight again. The silence following the disappearance of the medical transport van was shattered at exactly 11:11 p.m., not by a news report, but by a single, terrifying image leaked onto a dark web forum, an image that has officially ended the King Harris we once knew. In the photo, which appears to be taken inside a private, dimly lit industrial space, King Harris isn't in an orange jumpsuit anymore. He's wearing a tactical vest, his head is shaved, and he's standing next to a man whose face is blurred, but whose hand bears a tattoo recognizable to anyone deep in the Atlanta underworld. The caption underneath read, "The King is dead. Long live the new king." The final, world-stopping twist? The attack in the jail, the leaked crying phone call, and even the medical transport disappearance were all part of a massive, high-stakes defection. According to an Ultra insider, who just broke their silence, King Harris didn't beg T.I. to save his life from the jail. He begged T.I. to save him from himself, and when T.I. couldn't or wouldn't do it, King made a deal with the very enemies T.I. has spent 20 years trying to keep at bay. The medical van wasn't a kidnapping. It was an extraction. King Harris has reportedly traded the Harris family legacy and his father's most sensitive business secrets for protection and a seat at a table that doesn't include T.I. or Tiny. But the cliffhanger that has everyone's blood running cold is the video that dropped just 3 minutes ago. It's a 15-second clip of a camouflage-wrapped Tesla Cybertruck, the same one King was recently arrested in, parked outside a known federal safe house. The camera zooms into the driver's seat. It isn't King. It isn't T.I. It's a man wearing a Pikachu onesie, the same one King wore in his latest mugshot, but this person is holding a folder labeled Grand Hustle Assets. As the person in the onesie looks up, the camera cuts to static, but not before a voice whispers, "He told Mom goodbye, but he never said goodbye to the business." Wait, was King ever in that jail during the attack? Or was the entire 48-hour drama a calculated distraction while the family's empire was being looted from the inside? T.I. has just gone live on a private, encrypted channel, and his face is a mask of pure, unadulterated fury. He didn't say a word. He just pointed a chrome-plated handgun at the camera and mouthed the words, "Found you. The war isn't coming. It's already here." T.I. is no longer looking for his son to save him. He's looking for his son to end him. And King? He just posted a location pin on a burner account that leads straight to the center of Bankhead, the very streets T.I. claims to own. The King's son has officially declared war on the King. And the first shot hasn't even been fired yet. Is King Harris a victim of a federal setup, or has he officially betrayed the Harris bloodline for street power? T.I. is on the hunt, and the next 24 hours will be the most dangerous in Atlanta's history. We are getting raw footage of the Bankhead confrontation as we speak. You cannot afford to miss the next update. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and tell us in the comments, whose side are you on? The father or the son? Stay tuned. The war has just begun.